Hey guys, Rob here with RJ Gaming. Got another update on the Capra crawler for you guys that are interested in following along with its journey. First thing is first, where we left off was we had the brushless system, the Hobby Wing Fusion Pro that we installed with the Fly Sky GT5 receiver transmitter combo. Those are doing well and everything's working great there. So very, very happy with those. Biggest upgrade for this. First upgrade for this truck would probably need to be those because, man, I'll tell you, it's just a world of difference. So once I got everything wired up, I wanted a switch for the lights. And for those that don't know, I didn't know, so I'm trying to share some knowledge here. You can get like just some Y connectors if you have multiple lights. So like in particular with this rig, the light bar is separate. So the light bar is on its own wire and the headlights are on their own wire. So what I did is I just got a Y connector. So they're kind of like these auxiliary style wires, the triple wires. Get a splitter. So it's just a little like piece of wire like yay big. And it splits off into either 2 or 3 pre-wired. You go on Amazon, you can get a whole pack of them for like 10 or 12 bucks, I think is what I ended up paying. So I have a whole pack now for other upgrades. Works like a charm. So those, and then you need to order a specific light switch, which I didn't know. I thought, oh, just plug in the lights to the channel you want them to be plugged into and click the switch on the channel and the lights are going to turn on and off. It's not the case. It actually has to be a switch in line. So they make a just literally type in RC light switch on Amazon. They make a wire with a small little chip board in line on the wire, and that acts as your switch. So you plug your lights and your your light bar, whatever, multiple lights into the Y connector. That Y connector plugs into the light switch connector, and then that light switch connector plugs into the receiver. So everything's kind of in line. It's a little excessive on the wires, but as long as you get everything nice and clean, zip tie everything up in there, it's not too shabby. So I'll show you guys real quick what it looks like. So I wired mine to channel 3 on the Fly Sky GT5. So it's kind of cool because it's right here on the side, and it's just a button, which I like. So just press the button, lights on, press the button, lights off. So kind of nice during the day if you want to kind of save some battery or just not have your lights on and just be crawling, you can. And then at nighttime, boom, turn them on if you need them. Or if you want to have the truck look a little cooler during the day, you just have options to be able to turn them on and off right from the remote, which I really like. Light switch was probably, I think it was $8 or $9. And the connectors, like I said, a whole baggie of them was like $10. So you're talking like about $20. And you can do the light switch thing, which is really cool. Second thing, I had the steering servo horn break on me. I got some Proline. They're trenchers. They're 2.2s. They're huge compared to my 1.9s. So you can see there's a 1.9 chilling here. They actually came from Facebook Marketplace. Well, sort of Marketplace. RC Classifieds, a group that my brothers and I are part of. And guy gave me a really good deal. Rims, tires, there's alt foams in one set of tires, and there's Crawler Innovation triple stage foams in the other. Got 4 tires for a really decent price, so couldn't beat it. Got those. They do raise, I was testing them out when I broke the servo horn, because unfortunately with 2.2s, they are heavier, they're a bigger tire to turn, you're turning a lot more tire, so it puts a lot more stress on your drivetrain, so like your transmission, your portal gears, all that stuff, but also steering. So this servo horn stock on the Capra is plastic, unfortunately. It broke. It's plastic with a metal insert, which I really don't get. Like, why not just put a metal horn on it? Whatever. So a lot of company like Traxxas, you'll see a lot of their trucks come with just an actual plastic, not even like a metal insert for the gear teeth. You'll just see a plastic horn with plastic teeth, and that's horrible because they'll just strip right out. Anyway, I had to upgrade. Obviously, I'm like, I want to go aluminum. Little PSA, public service announcement for all you Capra owners out there, all my Capra friends. The pumpkin for the diff is very close to the steering servo horn. You can see, not a whole lot of room right there. So if you get too long of a horn, it will hit that, it'll rub and strike the diff pumpkin, and you'll break something. It won't work, it won't steer. So you've got to get a short enough horn. Now this is a horn from Axial. It is 23 millimeters from the center of the mounting screw to the end of the horn. And it is 16 millimeters to the first hole down here, the first mounting hole. And the mounting hole I actually have the link in is 20 millimeters. It is perfect for the Capra. Look at this, the clearing, it's right there. You know, your links roll, they're not gonna bump. Got perfect steering, and it clears just fine. So for those of you looking, just look for this Axial. You'll see it has the Axial branding on the side, which I really like, this nice white Axial branding. You can't really miss it online. It's the only steering servo horn that looks like that. Just check the dimensions just to be sure that they're right. They're right. Most everybody puts them right on there, so it's nice. Most steering servo horns I found don't put their dimensions, and it pissed me off because you're trying to find this, you know, you've got your ruler and you're up in there like, okay, I've got this much clearance, and you're literally scouring the internet. God, it took me so fucking long to find this stupid thing because I was like, I don't want to get a horn all the way here to find out the thing's too friggin' long. The cheapo Amazon ones were like 30 something millimeters. They were going to go way too far down. They were going to be a problem. So I had to search, and I was searching and searching, and the other pain in the ass about it for anybody who has the stock four-wheel steer Capra is this Spectrum S14 steering servo has a 23 tooth, it's a 23 tooth. So most of them are 25. So finding a 23 tooth horn is already limiting your choices, like from all this to like that. And then trying to find a fucking 23 tooth horn that's just right to fit in that space. Oh my God, you want to talk about annoying? It would have been a lot easier if everybody had their dimensions. But you look at the horns, and a lot of them would list like how far down the hole was for mounting. So you go, oh, mounting hole, you know, 24 millimeters to the farthest and 20 for the least, or for the middle, and 17 for the least, or whatever. But it never gave you a total length, so you had no idea how far down this horn would hang. Oh, I'll get off my soapbox about that. That drove me crazy, crazy. I was going nuts. So this Axial horn for my Capra friends, check it out. That's the one you want. Clears perfectly and fits the Spectrum S14, the stock. I'm assuming, now that I have a metal horn on here, the next thing to go will be the servo. So I'm ready. I have a servo picked out for what I want to replace this with. I don't have it yet, but I have the one that I want in mind. So if this one burns up, my plan is to grab the rear steer servo, which is the same exact servo, and just put it up front and just not have rear steer while I order the new servo for the front. That's my plan. Always planning for the brakes, because you know they're coming. Next thing, let's talk about the next thing. I wanted to, in my experiment with the 2.2s, it raised my center of gravity up on the Capra. It was a rolly boy. Boy, was it a rolly boy. I was out there, and there was spots where these 1.9s where I could just go like, I could be like, you know, going straight up and very planted and grounded with the 1.9s, you know. I was like that. And with these 2.2s, it was like, gonna flip over. Whether it was tipping sideways or flipping, you know, going, a lot of it I noticed was going up like this, up, and I'd hit a certain angle, and the front of the truck would just, there was so much grip in the rear, and the truck was up so much higher, it just wanted to flip over backwards on me. I had a Defender before this, and I did not like how tippy it was, and how I was trying everything I could to eliminate top heaviness and weight up here on the suspended weight and put more weight down in the lower. The last thing I want to do to the Capra is make it more tippy, because it just sucks. I like grounded vehicle. I like stuff that's grounded. Boof. When it's grounded, it doesn't feel like it's going to flip. I can do crazy angles and crazy like side hill turns where I'm like literally like this, and the Capra sticks. That's what I want. So now it's time to experiment with some weight. So what we've done is, well, time out. Back up. Injora rims. Ta-da! Aluminum beadlocks. as you guys know with beadlocks, the most annoying thing is putting all these screws in right here. So, yeah, love these beadlocks. They are awesome. They're clean looking, and I like them because they match the red. Oh yeah, look at that, so sexy. The red and the black. And I also like the Injoras because they have 6 points to screw into on the back, which some only have 5 or even 4. And the Beastie Boys that you screw in with are actually pretty nice. Oh, can I get it to focus? There. Pretty nice hex heads. They're actually 2.5. Oh god, did I get that right? 2.5 millimeter heads. Guys, another public service announcement for those of you. Some of you are going to be like, dude, I know that. And some of you are going to be like, wow, I'm glad you said something. You can use a drill to put these little screws in. Just make sure that your torque release is set all the way. When I say torque release, I mean that thing right there in your drill. If you don't know what torque release is, have it turned all the way down to 1. And you can do the little screws because they are annoying to do by hand. You can do it by hand too if you want. And you can do these with the drill too, the ones that actually hold the little hub assembly thing here. However, do not use the drill to do this part where you're actually putting the beadlock together like that. These screws, these ones back here, where you're putting, you know, the bead into the beadlock, you're putting your freaking thing in there, and you got that part right there. Okay, do not use the drill. I ruined a set of beadlocks doing this. I stripped them out like a moron, and had to order these in drawers, which I like better. I like the way they look better, so I probably would have ordered them anyway. But my God, I wasted money, and I don't like wasting money. So, public service announcement: by hand on this part, please. Okay, beautiful Injora beadlocks. I love them. I got this one taken apart because we're gonna talk about some stuff here. What is that? Little piece of, oh, it's like Loctite. Anywho, where was I going? Okay, so we talked about the Injoras. They look good. Here's how they look mounted, by the way. Oh, dude, sexy boys with those holds on there. Oh my! And look at the mounting, just so clean. Bubble juice for sure on these, like Crawler Canyon teaches you about using bubble juice to get the rim seated, get the bead seated on the rim, I should say. Bubble juice works awesome because J concepts are super sticky. Weight. So I got to thinking, I'm like, you know, I'd like to start playing around with weight a little bit. I have not played around with weight at all on this rig yet. Eventually, I'd like to also play around with overdrive in the front. I hear a lot of good things about overdriving the gears so that the front turns quicker than the rear, and the front pulls the rear up onto obstacles. So I'm gonna play around some weight. So what we did, that's a heavy boy. This is a brass inner ring for a beadlock. This is a not brass inner ring. Listen to the difference. Bing, bing, boom, boom. Heavy, much heavier than this. I probably should get the scale out, but I don't want this to be an hour-long video. You can feel like this is like light. Obviously not as light as like a plastic rim, but this, oh, she's got some weight to her. A simple thing, right? Take this one out. Up here, and replace it with this one. What does that do? Oh, get on there. What does that do for your weight? Well, what's really cool about it, it's in the tire. It's in the fucking tire, which is nice because where you don't want weight, for those of you who don't know, you don't want weight up here on what we call suspended weight. So anything that's on the suspension, you really don't want the weight because that's what makes it want to be top heavy and pull over. But anything on the axles is where you want the weight. But where you really want the weight on the axles is low. You want your center of gravity to be as low as possible. So that's why the low center of gravity rigs, the LCGs, are so popular right now in crawling. They're like the new latest and greatest hot thing out there on the market because everybody's doing them. They look sexy and they're low center of gravity. They actually like droop, like the bodies and all this stuff droops down to really hold everything very low to the ground. So these brass are going to add, I believe it was 98 grams per tire. So I'm going to put them in the front only for now. So this one's going to go in this tire. That tire's going to go back on, and then I'm going to break this tire apart, and I'm going to put another brass ring in there. I've got 4 of them just in case. They come in a pack of 4, which is nice. So I'm going to put them on the front only for now, because I'm thinking, and I see a lot of it out there, where, shout out to West Desert Wheeler, my boy, he's very front heavy. He calls it front weight bias. He's a fan of a front weight bias. So he likes the front of his rigs to be heavier. The problem you start to run into is then the ass end when you're coming downhill like it's so, your ass end wants to go over when you're letting off the throttle or you're, God forbid, having to bump reverse to like slow the truck down. The ass end wants, you all have that moment where you're like on a really tippy spot and the truck just flips over itself. So you can't put too much weight on the front because you don't want the ass end to just flip over every time you're going downhill, because crawling is just as important going up as it is going down. But what I've noticed with this rig is you get to a certain point, even with the 1.9s, and it just wants to kind of, over backwards. So I'm thinking more weight down low. So start adding some weight. I don't want to make this a heavy, heavy, heavy boy, because you obviously don't want the rig to be so heavy that it doesn't pull itself up onto things, because it's too heavy, total weight, right? But I want to start adding weight to the lower part of this thing and see what I can come up with. I mean, there's people that run metal axles, aluminum. The whole axle housing is aluminum. So there's people that do that. But for now, I'm just going to start in the front. And what I'm thinking is if it's too much weight on the front, I have 4. I can just weigh down the whole truck and get all of my tires more planted. So I can play around with these. All it takes is breaking the beadlock apart, adding the weight. Those, easy peasy, right? Now, check this out. The next upgrade. So we've had the light switch, horn, steering horn, rims, brass rings. And now, for the final upgrade I'm going to talk about today that I've done. If you guys have been in RC at all, you've probably heard of Treal. T-R-E-A-L. Those guys. Right there. I have heard so many good things about the Treal for the Capra axles. They make Treal portal axle replacements. So all these pieces where these portals are, you have your outer portal housing, which is this guy, this plastic housing. Then you've got your inner portal housing, your casing. And then you've got the actual pumpkin up and behind here where the drive shafts come down. Guys, they make all these parts and they are gorgeous. They're freaking gorgeous. This is the part. It is so pretty. It's black brass, which I really like. I mean, look at how machined that is. So good. And they give you hardware. And this is, I just want to show you, like, this is stock. This is the stock portal housing, which is fine, right? It's cool. But look at the Treal mounted. Oh my. It's so pretty. And it is heavy. It's 50, oh God. I'm not going to remember the exact number. I think it's 53 grams per outer thingy. I've mounted it plastic for now, which does work, for those of you wondering. So you don't have to get, because there's there's 3 pieces, I believe. There's one down here. There's the Treal makes this whole thing here is all metal that Treal makes. And then this kind of connects to the metal. But you don't have to start, you can start with just the covers, the outer covers. Look at how pretty that is. And it's going to add, so we're going to have 50, I think it's 53 per. And then those are 90, oh Jesus, are 90, I think it's 98. These are, God, what brand are these? Let's see, glow-backed. These are just Amazon specials. But I thought brass is brass, so who cares? It's in the tire, right? Yeah, so what, 300-ish grams So the front of this thing on the axle is going to be 300 grams heavier than the rear. I'm only doing these on the front too, for now. But if you guys are looking for aluminum upgrades for this Capra axle, these trio parts, I've read some bad reviews on other knockoff, not the real deal kind of ones if you go a little cheaper. Man, the trio just, I broke it apart. I wish I could show you. There's obviously like your top gear up here and your bottom gear, and then there's like a little pin that sits in there, and there's bearings that actually have to go in the housing. So like in here, this is my plastic, which ironically was broken. It already, see how thin the outer part of the screw hole is? Look at what happened to that one screw hole. It's broken. See it? But the bearings sit in here, and the bearings literally popped out of here and went right into the trio. Like they clicked in, like they just pressed in perfect. Like they are perfect fit. So highly recommended if you guys are looking for aluminum upgrades, trio. Oh my. And I can feel, just with that being over there already, I can feel the weight difference. But by the time I get the other one over here and then these in the front tires, oh boy. I think we're going to have a heavy front end, but I don't think it's going to be too much to where it's like, whoa, that's too heavy and it's just all flippy dippy. Like it doesn't feel like we're going too far too fast, because I want to start small with the weight and kind of play around. And then like I said, if it gets to be too much and the rear end's too light, I can throw those other rings in the rear and balance things out a little. So then I'm only 100 grams heavier in the front because I'm evening out the brass. But I think the more weight we put down on the axles on this old girl, the better we're going to be as far as bite and traction and stability, on like those steep side hills. And what I'm really interested is I see some of these rigs, especially West Desert Wheeler, he gets the rig just almost where it looks like it's going to flip over. There's no way it's going to climb that. And then he just kind of, and boop, he's up top. And you're like, how the hell did that rig not flip? How did he keep it so steady? So I'm hoping the combination of the motor, the ESC with the receiver and transmitter, that whole thing with that nice slow control that I showed you guys in the last video, along with some weight distribution being better off in the low end on the axles, with some really good sticky tires and some nice homemade Crawler Canyon custom foam inserts. Oh, squishy boys. Look at that. But not too squishy. They squish down and then they stop. If you guys are looking to make custom inserts, Crawler Canyon is your man. He's got a video, look it up. They're Crawler Canyon custom inserts is what he calls them. Oh man, they're so cool. And they're affordable too. And they just work. So nice. Anyhow, I'm hoping it'll keep the rig even more planted than it already was. And then I'm hoping with the 2.2s down the line, I'd like to take the 2.2s out and I'd like to dial them in. I'd like to get maybe some of these for 2.2 size. The front end will already be weighted differently, so I think that's going to help. And we're going to go from there, guys. And as I break things like steering servos and horns and gears and whatever else breaks, I'll fix it, hopefully with better parts after the fact. But yeah, that's so cool, the difference. It's crazy. Oh, one more thing before I go. We're at 24 minutes, so not too bad. I'll keep it under a half hour. You guys will be proud of me. I ordered an axial, so I wanted to go from a 14-tooth to an 11-tooth pinion on the transmission to slow things down a little bit because the top end was really psycho fast. I did not need that much bump in this transmission. I don't need to, it's not a basher. I'm not going to go jump the thing. So I wanted to bring it down to an 11-tooth, and I ordered an axial 11-tooth pinion, 32 pitch, another, lots of PSAs in this video. The manual is wrong. The axial Capra manual says when you look up the model number that they have in the manual for the pinion, it says it's a 48 pitch. It is not. It's a 32 pitch. So don't make that mistake, my friends, because I did that. I ordered two of the wrong pinion, or no, yeah, because I wanted to try two different types. So now I have two 48 pitch pinions that I don't need. They're only like, whatever, $8 a piece, but still kind of annoying. 32 pitch pinion in the axial Capra 4-wheel steer stock transmission. And the axial 11 tooth was loud. I got it in the rig, and even at low speeds, it was just like, grrr. I mean, it sounded so mad in there, and I'm like, oh my god, what is that noise? This new hobby wing, this was after all the ESC upgrade. I'm like, come on, I want this thing to be quiet. So, I thought it was a Gearmaster shoe. Now, always remember when you're going from a higher tooth to a lower tooth, there's going to be a little bit more jankiness. So when you have 11 teeth and you're coming around with 11 teeth, you're going to have a little more slop in there than a 14. 14 is going to be you're going to feel a little less slop. So I was thinking, oh, it's literally just slop, gear mesh, whatever. I'll put the 14 back in. That hobby wing, even with the 14 on the low end, you just get that nice, super slow, like the truck's not even moving, crawl speed, which is fine. I'm like, I'll just deal with that. And then I was reading on the forum, someone recommended Robinson Racing 11 tooth pinion, 32 pitch. It's like a hardened pinion. Oh my god. I put that thing in, guys. I think it was a little bit more expensive. It might have been like 13 bucks, 14 bucks. Guys, it is quiet. It is slow, but when you punch the throttle, you still get that, that really quick jump that you need to do your hops. You get on those certain rocks where you can't really just go over it like this because your belly's going to get hung and just sit there and go, hey, asshole, you're stuck. You got to kind of hop it. It still has that hop peppiness, but at the low end is so buttery smooth and quiet. So take home, if you are going to try to upgrade your pinion to I'll call it an upgrade, change your pinion to an 11 tooth, Robinson Racing 11 tooth hardened metal pinion. Oh my god, it's the way to go. Hopefully in a video out on the rocks I can show you guys how quiet this thing is. Supposed to be crawling here in a little bit today, actually. It's 2 in the morning, and today is officially now Friday. That's crawl day. Oh, hell yeah. So the boys are going to be out there. Unfortunately, my boy PJL Daly's not going to be able to join us. He signed up for some overtime at work, so he's going to be out of the crawling today, but everybody else should be out there. And if nobody else is out there, guess what? I'll be out there by myself. It's fine. Me and this dude will be out there. And hopefully I can get some videos up on YouTube with how this thing performs with all these upgrades. I told myself I was only going to do like one thing at a time, but it's sort of like one thing led into another thing, led into another thing, and now I have all these little upgrades that I did. The big one was the motor ESC, but then of course, like, oh, I want the light switch, and then, oh yeah, I want to do these 2.2s look like a good deal. Oh my god, I broke the steering horn. Oh, I gotta fix that. Oh, the the front I think is a little too light. Let's put some extra weight in there. Oh, I fucked up my rims because I am a dumbass and used a drill instead of hand tight, and it's just all these things happened over the past couple weeks to make all this sort of come to fruition. So now I'm hitting the brakes on purchasing things for a little bit. That is where the Capra is currently at, and I hope you guys have a great day wherever you're at watching this, and taking care of yourselves, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks for joining. Oh, and if you need, if you have any questions, I'm not the pro on everything, but stuff that I've learned up to this point, hit me up in the comments down below, and I will be happy to help you out, try to answer to the best of my ability. So with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.